happened when we recorded the rhythm parts is that I recorded directly into Pro Tools. So if we have a look at the computer over here, we just put the guitars directly into a DI box. So we went in here into the Pro Tools system and recorded the sound that you would hear just directly from the pickup. So it would be completely clean, no amplifier whatsoever. We record directly into Pro Tools, and then used a plug-in called SansAmp, which has a kind of an amp simulator on it, just to listen to while we're recording the guitars. The reason we didn't record with the amplifier straight away is so I could change the sound a little bit later. If I didn't like the sound of the amplifier, once we'd recorded, say, the rest of the instruments and the vocals, I could easily just do something we called reamping to get a sound that's more suitable for the album. So after we got to the point where we were happy we'd recorded everything and the parts were correct, we did what's called reamping the guitars. So you take the guitars from Pro Tools, and another little box here, I think it's actually called Reamp, just bought from a company somewhere in America, I think. Just ordered it online, and this kind of matches the impedance, so the amplifier thinks it's receiving the signal directly from a guitar rather than out of a computer system. And then what happens is we take that signal, put it into an amplifier and record the sound from the amplifier. I guess I'll show you, what we used to record with now. We go into the live room. Amazingly, we kind of squeeze drummers in here as well, but I think on this album I used both the PV6505, that was a main rhythm sound, and then also the PVJSX, which is I think it's an old Joe Satriani kind of signature amplifier, but it was mainly this one. I think we had an Ibanez Tube Screamer set, but it was on a clean setting, and then straight into the amplifier. We tried this Marshall but didn't like the sound of that because it's got the speakers weren't quite right, the top end response. So I ended up using this 1x12, which is we just put a Celestion Vintage 30 speaker in. It's tiny. The only problem we had is it generates sort of a kind of an overly emphasised lower mid range, so we had to EQ a little bit of that out. But the sound was nice. It's what we wanted. So we use that mainly for the rhythms, that was, and then occasionally I'd use the Marshall, and that's G1275 speakers, I think. That's impressive, isn't it? And then this didn't get used at all. This is a PV-XXX, but just use that live sometimes. This is quite a dark sounding amplifier generally. They called it the Brown sound. It's originally designed for Eddie Van Halen when it was called a 5150, but when he moved to, I think, Fender, they decided they had to change the name of it, so it was called, I believe it was called 6505 because the company was started in 1965, and then in 05 this amp was released, maybe? Some story like that anyway.
Did you find what you're looking for? A classroom for an open door. You're hurting yourself.
I have a deal with Rocktron, and I use this Prophecy Live. I mean, principally because it's MIDI controlled. Also, you can get it onto a plane as well, and you can carry it on as hand luggage because it's small. So you can take all your sounds, plug into an amplifier at a festival when you get there, and you've got everything you're used to. Basically, you just plug into their power amp and the speaker. So this has got maybe, I don't know, 20 odd patches for threshold, something like that, and we have a computer running on stage that Johan listens to a click, and it changes all the patches for us automatically via MIDI, which is kind of a real luxury. We've done that for the last 3 or 4 years. It means I don't have to have a pedal board. You can literally just sort of stand there wherever you want to on the stage, and when you have to play a lead or something, it changes it for you. And then even better at the end of the song, the thing Richard would love, a keyboard player, is the fact that it silences Pete and us because we have a patch called off, which is no noise. So when we finish playing a song, there really is silence on stage instead of people tuning up and making a noise. And this is the old preamp of Nick Midson. It's all that's left of Nick Midson in Threshold nowadays. I mean, he left his preamp here when he finished playing for the band, and he hasn't picked it up yet, so that's a bit sad. And that's pretty much it really for guitars, other than kind of some post-processing in the mixing. Like I said, we had to EQ some of the lower mids out of the rhythm guitars particularly, make them fit in the mix. And I suppose the other thing to say is that when we did the rhythm parts, we recorded just 2 rhythm parts, one each side this time. I tracked the 2 DI'd. Before we have used 4 parts, but I just felt there was kind of more clarity on this album to getting just one part each side. You could hear more of what the player is doing.